I'm going to beat Pokemon FireRed using only Fighting type Pokemon and Fighting type moves. The full rule set is on the screen and in the description, and I'll explain them more as they come up. Starting out, I named myself Coach and my rival Lazy Boy, or just Laz Boy due to character limits. Those luxury recliners are the enemy of personal trainers everywhere, so I've got to put him in his place whenever possible. Our first opportunity arises almost immediately once we've chosen a starter. Unfortunately, none of the options evolve into a fighting type. I choose Squirtle for reasons that I'll explain later, but I will explain how I'm limiting moves. I can only deal damage with fighting type moves. If I buff myself or debuff an enemy with another type of move, that's legal. Since Sauna here is an illegal Pokemon with no legal moves, he wags his tail tauntingly at Bulbasaur until he's defeated. As an added bonus, we don't lose any money when we lose. I'm not considering this a failure because the challenge hasn't officially started yet. So let's fix that. I head to Route 22 as soon as possible and start hunting for my first encounter, Mankey. But I want a level 5 to minimize grinding. Luckily, that doesn't take very long. Unluckily, I can't weaken it due to the aforementioned rules. So, as a Texan would say, I chunk a few Pokeballs at it until it stays. This little guy is named Porkchop. Now that I have a fighting Pokemon, I need a fighting move. Porkchop learns Low Kick at level 6, so he just needs one level. Getting that one level requires a simple 5-step process. 1. Go to Viridian Forest. 2. Find a Metapod or Kakuna. Somehow, this took 4 minutes of running into encounters on my first attempt. Number 3. Stall out the Cocoon's Harden move. This took another 6 minutes. Number 4. Watch the poor defenseless creature struggle itself to death. This took about 2 minutes and ended in a failure. I forgot that struggle does recoil relative to the damage dealt in Gen 3, not the Pokemon's max HP like in later gens. So now, at step 4.5, I have to fill up the team with some meat shields before I can move on to step 5. To stay within the spirit of the challenge, I fill up the team with Mankey, meat, ground beef, chicken breast, tenderloin, and bacon. Let's try again. Now, after a further 4 minutes of literal struggling, this Metapod defeats itself, but Porkchop gains 25 experience, meaning I just need to do that one more time to get Low Kick. Or I do step 5, feed Porkchop a rare candy and save myself the time. Now that I have an eligible move, I can prepare for the first roadblock in this video. And it's not Brock, it's Bug Catcher Sammy. You see, Sammy is the only required trainer before you face Brock. His only Pokemon is a level 9 Weedle, which normally isn't a challenge. But my only move is Low Kick, which the bug quad resists. And the damage is minimal anyway because the bug is so small. And Weedle's only attacking move is Poison Sting, which poisons me about 100% of the time. Since I can't use items in battle, that's a death sentence. To prepare for this immovable object, I return to our old stomping grounds, Route 22. I dropkick a bunch of other Mankey to grind attack EVs until Porkchop learns Karate Chop. In the meantime, I do some damage calcs to see how well Porky will fare against Weedle. 14.2% damage with Karate Chop? I don't like those odds, but let's try it anyway. I challenge Sammy again, but this time I start with a Leer to boost my damage output. Unfortunately, Weedle poisons Porkchop on turn 1. Fortunately, boosted Karate Chops do about 25% of the bug's health, so it's just a few hits before the object moves. Now, we can head into Pewter City. In fact, I head straight to the gym and challenge Brock without any additional training. And I beat his Geodude and Onix as easily as I beat Sammy's Weedle. Who would have thought that kicking rocks would be easier than smashing a bug? Anyway, with a badge in hand, Porkchop and I head through Mount Moon to our next destination. This dungeon has only 2 required trainers, right at the end. The first is a Rocket Grunt. His Rattata is no match for Porkchop, and Zubat only knows weak moves, so I repeat the Sammy strat to defeat him. Easy peasy. The second required trainer is the scientist guarding the fossils. He has 3 Pokemon, 2 of which are poison types. The bane of our existence. To prepare for this epic battle, I return to Route 22 once again. Maybe one day I'll get to leave this area for more than 5 minutes. Porkchop beats up a bunch more Mankey as well as a bunch of Pidgey and Rattata on Route 1 to max out his attack and speed EVs. I also grind him to level 21 to learn Focus Energy, which I expect to be a vital part of upcoming difficult battles. Also, I fully acknowledge that Porky here is at Misty's level cap. But given the extreme limitations of this run, I'm not adhering super strictly to the level caps. I'm doing damage calcs all along the way, so I'll keep my levels reasonable, And I'm not grinding to level 100 just to say I beat the challenge. At least, not for this challenge. Anyway, with my grinding done, Super Nerd Miguel doesn't stand a chance. Grimer is one shot by a critical hit karate chop. Coughing misses a poison gas and just gives up. And Voltorb didn't stand a chance. We then leave Mount Moon to find a guy who wants to teach Mega Punch to Pork Chop. This will be an excellent addition to his moveset. Wait, it's a normal type move? Why? Okay, let's try Mega Kick. Surely this ferocious move is going to be another normal type move? What is wrong with you, Nintendo? Why would you do this to us? Devastated, we arrive in Cerulean City, the location of our next 2 major battles. Based on some quick damage calcs, Misty is going to be a nightmare, so I challenge Lazy Boy first. He has 4 Pokemon, but 2 of them are non-issues. He leads with a Pidgeotto, who threatens with super effective damage and or Sand Attack. Both are bad. Low Kick nearly one-shots it, but then it throws some sand in Pork Chop's eyes. A second kick takes it out and brings in Abra, which allows me to set up with Focus Energy. Abra falls to a single Karate Chop, bringing Pork Chop to level 22. Rattata is third, and he also falls to a single Karate Chop. Last is his ace Bulbasaur. The frog can take about 4 hits, so it sets up on me with Leech Seed and then Poison Powder. This is super bad for us. This puts us at about 2/3 health when Pork Chop misses his first attack. Bulbasaur is able to hit a Vine Whip, which puts us in range for a KO the next turn after all of our DOT. I need a crit to eke out a victory, and I don't get it. So Pork Chop falls to a second Vine Whip, meaning we white out for the first time. After Nurse Joy heals up my Mankey, I do some more damage calcs. At level 23, Porky has a 50% chance to one-shot Pidgeotto, which is all I need. So I level him up and try again. Ironically, versus Pidgeotto, this fight goes worse with the new level. The bird survives the first hit, meaning I lost the coin toss. He then hits Pork Chop with Sand Attack. This causes Pork Chop to miss his second attack, meaning he takes a super effective Gust as punishment. Luckily, a third Low Kick finishes the job and brings in Abra. I set up again with Focus Energy and then take Abra down. No problem. Nobody is ever worried about fighting this Abra. Third is Rattata, of course. And of course, Pork Chop misses another attack. My brother, please hit. As even more punishment, he takes both a Tackle and a Quick Attack. This puts him in the red before he can take down the Rat and Mouse Pokemon. Last is Lazy Boy's Bulbasaur. Karate Chop does just under half, meaning I need a crit to win. Assuming Pork Chop even survives this incoming Vine Whip, which he does, with only 1 HP, we full send it, attacking with Karate Chop and scoring the needed crit to win the battle. That was way tougher than it should have been. Before I move on to Misty, let's do some planning. My next encounter is to the east, in Rock Tunnel. But to get there, I have to go through routes 24 and 25, beat Misty, travel to Vermilion City, clear the SS Anne, but not necessarily in that order. Some quick damage calcs tell me that Pork Chop stands a much better chance against Lieutenant Surge's ace than Misty's, without even accounting for any new levels. So ideally, I'd challenge him first so I don't end up super overleveled. Unfortunately, I can't face Surge before Misty because I need to cut down a tree to get to his gym, but I can still get some power-ups along the way. So Pork Chop and I clear out Route 24/Nugget Bridge. It's not really noteworthy, not even the Rocket Grunt at the end. What is noteworthy though, is reaching level 26. No, Porky doesn't evolve quite yet, but he learns Seismic Toss. This will make Poison and Psychic type Pokemon much easier to handle. I meet Bill on Route 25, who owes me one for finally releasing a video or two on my channel. He gives me an SS ticket, but all he really needed to do was subscribe and leave a comment. Ticket in hand, I can head to Vermilion City. This requires passing through a crime scene, which is surely a crime itself. I also have to beat another Rocket Grunt. This is even easier now that I have Seismic Toss. Pork Chop just suplexes his Drowsy a couple times, and we move on, ignoring the useless TM that we received. The only other trainer standing in our way is a literal camper. Jeff just hangs out at the gates to Vermilion City, ready to sick his bird and ROUS on unwary travelers. But I am a wary traveler, and I have an overleveled fighting type Pokemon, so he doesn't stand a chance. Now, we're in Vermilion City. I head straight to the SS Aqua, where I find the TM for Brick Break in a random room. I teach this to Pork Chop immediately for a nice power boost. We put this boost to work immediately by challenging Lazy Boy again. Brick Break easily defeats his Pidgeotto, Kadabra, and Raticate. Well, I guess he also easily defeats Ivysaur too. That one just takes 2 hits instead of 1. And as an added bonus, Porkchop evolves into Primeape after the battle. Porky and I then return to Cerulean to face down Misty. She leads with a Staryu. Unfortunately for her, it falls easily to a single Brick Break. That leaves her with Starmie. Based on some tentative damage calcs, Seismic Toss is exactly a 2-hit KO if she has 0 IVs in Starmie's HP. So I hit her with 1 to bring her to the yellow, lending credence to that info. So I go for the second hit and score the KO. Wild that a gym leader has 0 IVs, but maybe that improves for later leaders. The info I found online is pretty inconsistent on that regard. Regardless, I have my second badge. So let's keep that pain train rolling. I hop back down to Vermilion to face Lieutenant Surge. And he must have been some pencil pusher for the army, because he's a total pushover. 3 Brick Breaks lead to 3 easy KOs, and a third badge. With that, we can move on to Rock Tunnel and find our second encounter. Machop. I'll call him Macho Man, because I couldn't think of anything more punny like Porkchop. So let me know what you would have nicknamed him in the comments below. Now that I have a second Pokemon, I do even more backtracking, this time through Diglett Tunnel. Can you guess where I'm going? Route 22, our old stomping grounds. I beat up a bunch more Mankey and Route 1 Pokemon to max out Macho's attack and speed. With training done, we can navigate through Rock Tunnel to our next destination. Due to our lack of Pokedex completion and type limitation, we have to do this blind. But I could probably do this blindfolded anyway, so it's fine. Oh, and Macho Man evolves into Machoke from all the required trainers. My team is basically twice as strong as it was before. Before we head to Celadon City, I stop by the Pokemon Tower to challenge Lazy Boy again. And this is the first time that my starter choice becomes truly relevant. First is his usual Pidgeotto, which falls to a couple of low kicks. Second is Kadabra, who falls to a single low kick. But then his next 2 Pokemon are why I chose Bulbasaur for my rival, Gyarados and Growlithe. Both of these have Intimidate, which is devastating for my fighting type team. Or it would be if not for the set damage of Seismic Toss. I'm sure my rival will be more challenging in his final 2 battles, but this one is just a joke. Macho suplexes both the Sea Serpent and the small dog, then Porky knocks out Ivysaur with a karate chop to the neck. Super anime. When we reach Celadon, my first destination is the department store. I purchase a Water Stone for our final encounter. I also grab 3 CDs of Brick Break to give everyone on my team like candy. There's nothing else to do here, so let's head to the gym. I lead with Macho Man, whom I poisoned in advance. This activates his Guts ability and prevents Victory Bell from paralyzing him. Brick Break does over half to the Fly Trap, but Giga Drain heals a lot of it back. This turns the attack into a 3-hit KO. Macho is able to do it, of course, but the poison damage takes him out at the end of the turn. Erika sends out her Tangela, and I have no choice but to use Porkchop. I make perhaps a small mistake by starting with Focus Energy, as Tangela manages to crit with Giga Drain. Luckily, she decides to go for Ingrain the next turn before Erika uses up her Hyper Potion the following turn. All this healing doesn't really matter to Porkchop, who defeats Tangela with 2 hits of Brick Break. That leaves us in a 1v1, Porkchop versus Vileplume, who is much tankier than Victory Bell. Brick Break barely does a quarter before Porkchop gets paralyzed. Then Vileplume is able to take Porkchop out with 2 shots of Giga Drain, forcing us to white out once again. Well, to avoid overleveling, I think I need a new encounter. I head to the Fighting Dojo to battle Koichi. I'm a bit underleveled for this, leading to Porkchop being obliterated by a high jump kick. But Macho Man is able to pick up the KO on Hitmonlee, and then defeat Hitmonchan, who is such garbage prior to Gen 4. With that victory, Koichi lets me choose a Hitmon to keep. I choose Hitmonlee, as he's Mr. Barkin's favorite fighting type Pokemon. I even call him Barkick as a pun on Barkin's name. Once Barkick is caught up on EVs and levels, I take the new team to rematch Erika. I lead with Porkchop against Victory Bell and immediately start swinging. No warm up or stretching required. I get super lucky that Victory Bell misses 2 stun spores in a row. I also get Erika to waste her Hyper Potion, though Porkchop gets paralyzed on the following turn. However, he still pulls off the victory the turn after that. Erika's second Pokemon is Tangela, whom we know loves to heal and stall. It doesn't hit quite as hard as Victory Bell, which is convenient because my good luck balances out with 2 consecutive turns of full paralysis. Seismic Toss then takes out just over half of Tangela's health, though Porkchop is running low on stamina. He's even fully paralyzed again on the following turn. This leaves him with 7 HP, which Tangela drains immediately. I send out Macho Man, who avenges Porkchop with a single Brick Break. Maybe I should have just had Porkchop do that instead of Seismic Toss. Whoopsie. Anyway, Erika sends out her last Pokemon, Vileplume, and Macho Man greets her with a suplex. Vileplume paralyzes him quickly, which makes him a sitting duck for 2 turns, and allows Vileplume to pick up the KO. This leaves me with just Bark Kick. He comes in and starts doing what he does best, drop kicking whatever's in front of him. Unfortunately, Vileplume puts him to sleep and splashes him with a bunch of acid. If he doesn't wake up soon, we'll be moving on to attempt number 3 at this fight. And he does just that. On the last possible turn, he wakes up and takes out the rest of Vileplume's HP with one last Brick Break. This defeats Erika and earns us our 4th badge. Fortunately, the next 2 gyms will be super easy for my tough guys. But before I get to that, I head to the game corner, where I can infiltrate the Rocket hideout. I meet Boss Giovanni for the first time, but unfortunately for him, his current team is all weak to fighting. So, I defeat him with 3 quick hits from Bark Kick, earning us the Sylph Scope. This item helps us to explore the Pokemon Tower in more depth, or height, rather. There, we encounter a few mandatory channelers, as well as one that I just outright failed to sneak past. This is important because their Ghastly and Haunter are immune to fighting type moves. Macho Man has to use Foresight before punching them in the face. It's not a big deal now, but it'll come up a bit later. At the top of the tower, I find even more members of Team Rocket. After scaring them off, I rescue Mr. Fuji, who then thanks us with the Poke Flute. This flute allows us to wake up the Snorlax blocking Route 12. When he grumpily attacks us, Bark Kick fends him off with a swift kick to the head. I then head to the Fishing Guru's house, where I receive a Super Rod. Now, I have to do some more backtracking. For the penultimate time, I return to our old stomping grounds, Route 22. In this small body of water, I can fish to find my next encounter, Poliwag. I catch her and name her Girl Power. Before I do anything else, I give her a candy and a cool rock, which in my experience is basically all my daughters ever really want. This causes her to evolve into her final form, Poliwrath. I teach her Brick Break to give her a usable move, and then it's time for every PokeTuber's favorite pastime, EV training. After that, I take the team to Fuchsia City, the home of our next gym, and the Safari Zone, the latter of which I'm going to spend a lot of time in. You see, I want the leftovers items that are hidden under the 2 Snorlax spots. To get them, I need the item finder, and to get that, I need 30 Pokemon registered in the Pokedex. So, I explore the zoo and catch a bunch of new Pokemon. I also feed some of them candy to evolve them. Once I hit 30 in my Pokedex, I head back to Route 12 to pick up my dowsing rods for one of Oak's assistants. I then pick up my 2 half-eaten apples and head back to Fuchsia for the next gym battle. And along the way, Macho evolves into Machamp. This means that I now have my final team, Machamp, Poliwrath, Hitmonlee, and Primeape. Before I level up and face Koga, I backtrack again, this time to Saffron City. There, I start to ascend Silphco. Koga and Sabrina have the same level cap, and I expect the latter to be a much easier battle, ironically. So I'll clear this place out, take down Sabrina, and then go after Koga. Luckily, I've cleared this place so many times that I barely run into any grunts. We do run into Lazy Boy and Giovanni again, but they're pretty easy to beat, and we have to rematch them both fairly soon. Instead, let's kick things off with Sabrina. Her first Pokemon is a Kadabra, who falls immediately to a Cross Chop. Second is Mr. Mime. He manages to survive a Cross Chop before buffing his defense, so I switch to Low Kick while Sabrina heals. To avoid missing, I hit the clown with a Seismic Toss, but this backfires horribly as he baton passes his boosted defense to her ace, Alakazam. Whoopsies. Alakazam easily survives a Cross Chop and just as easily destroys Porkchop's brain. I send out Girl Power, who is the bulkiest of my fighters. She survives a Psychic and deals some okay damage with Brick Break. Alakazam takes her out the next turn though, leaving me with 2 Pokemon. I choose Bark Kick, who just barely misses the KO with High Jump Kick. Sabrina sets up a Future Sight for later, then heals her stupid ace. But then Sabrina decides to throw the match by going for Future Sight the next 2 turns, allowing Bark Kick to deal enough damage to take her down. Okay then. Mr. Mime comes back in to say goodnight, then Sabrina sends out her last Pokemon, a surprising Venomoth. Bark Kick stays in to take the Future Sight and deal as much damage as possible, which is 2 solid kicks before a light breeze knocks him out. That leaves me with Macho Man, who comes in and cleans up with a couple of Seismic Tosses. That battle was simultaneously easier and harder than I expected. Now, on to Koga. His lead coughing isn't too bad. Girl Power hits it hard with Brick Break before putting it to sleep. She then manages to burn one of Koga's Hyper Potions before knocking out the sleeping Pokemon, which has to mean he's in a coma, right? Medical concerns aside, I swap in Barkick as Muck comes in. He's a tanky boy who likes to use evasion nonsense. Barkick also manages to miss a high jump kick before any minimizing happens. But then I just alternate between Foresight and high jump kick for a solid hit. Unfortunately for Mr. Barkin, Muck scores a critical hit on the following turn and poisons Barkick, knocking him out basically in one hit. Rest in peace, Hitmonlee. Porkchop comes in next and hits with Seismic Toss. This prompts Koga to use his second potion, which is less than ideal. But I'll count myself lucky that Porky here keeps hitting despite 2 minimizes. And he keeps avoiding poison from Sludge, until I open my big fat mouth. But Leftovers gives him just enough health to survive, meaning he can take down Muck on the following turn. Unfortunately, he has so little health that there's no point in switching him out. So Koga sends out another coughing, Porkchop passes out from nausea, and Girl Power comes in to fight. She does what she does best, puts coughing to sleep with laser-focused hypnosis, then punches him a whole bunch. Koga unexpectedly uses a full heal, but this only lets him use Smokescreen one time before coughing is defeated. Koga is left with his ace, Wheezing, and I keep Girl Power in for now. She puts the gas ball to sleep and punches him a couple times before getting more smoke in her eyes. But that doesn't stop her from punching Wheezing in the face, which prompts him to use Toxic. Now on a very tight timeline, Girl Power goes all in, swinging with all her might. And she manages to take down Wheezing a couple turns later without even falling to poison. What a wild battle. With 6 badges in hand, we fly back to Pallet Town and surf south until we reach Cinnabar Island. This means we can quickly challenge Blaine for our 7th badge. Blaine leads with Growlithe and I choose Girl Power. Despite being intimidated, Man's best friend is no match for Girl Power, falling to a single Brick Break. Second is Ponyta, who survives the first hit. But then Girl Power stalls out both of Blaine's Hyper Potions on his pony, setting us up very well for his next 2 Pokemon. Third is the iconic unicorn Pokemon Rapidash. Girl Power stays in and keeps swinging, dealing over 50% with a single hit. Despite taking a critical stomp, she is able to take out Rapidash as well with incredible ease. That just leaves Arcanine, who further lowers Girl Power's attack on entry. But she just puts the dog to sleep and tags out for Macho Man while Blaine uses a full heal. Macho misses a Cross Chop and takes massive damage from Fire Blast. We try again, only for Cross Chop to miss again. And this time, Fire Blast scores a crit, easily knocking out Macho Man, so I send out Porkchop. He avoids being overcooked and defeats Arcanine with Cross Chop and Low Kick. After the victory, Bill ambushes us when I leave the gym. He wants us to join him to visit the Sevi Islands, but I don't care. I turn him down, and he gets unexpectedly butthurt about it. What a Chad. Instead, I fly to Viridian City and head to the final gym to continue the boss rush. First is Rhyhorn, who immediately succumbs to a Low Kick. Second is Dugtrio, who falls to a Cross Chop. So far, so good. Third, however, is Nidoqueen. Cross Chop deals just under half her health, and then her Earthquake deals comparable damage to Porkchop. Low Kick on the next turn continues to surprise with fairly substantial damage. It also poisons Porkchop, putting us in a terrible spot once Giovanni uses a Hyper Potion. I go back to using Cross Chop, hoping for a lucky crit to take out the dinosaur. But no such luck. Porkchop is put 6 feet under a few turns later. I bring out Macho Man, who is pre-poisoned for the Guts boost. Giovanni uses another potion while the boosted Low Kick deals over half of Nidoqueen's health. A second hit defeats her and brings out her husband, Nidoking. He's less bulky than the Queen, but that doesn't matter if Macho misses his Cross Chop. I really should have just gone for Low Kick. This means that Nidoking gets to hit Macho with 2 Earthquakes, dropping him to only 15 HP before Leftovers. By the grace of Arceus, Leftovers heals enough for Macho to survive the poison damage, meaning he can pick up the KO on the next turn. I then swap him out as Giovanni's Ace Rhyhorn comes in, but a single high jump kick easily defeats the Rhino Pokemon. He 100% should have been a Rhydon. And now that we have all 8 badges, there isn't much left of the game. We return to Route 22 one last time, where we run into Lazy Boy for the penultimate time. But again, we'll fight him soon, so I skip this and rush through Victory Road to the Indigo Plateau. This means we can finally challenge the Pokemon League. The first 2 fights against Lorelei and Bruno are super easy and not really worth showing. But that leaves 3 tough battles between our punchy pals and the championship belt. First up is Agatha, who is a bit tricky due to her ghost Pokemon. First is her Gengar, so I send out Porkchop. He lowers the ghost's defense with Screech before swapping to Barkick, all while Gengar boosts her evasion. But Foresight negates that and lets me hit Gengar with a fighting move, so one high jump kick takes it out easily. Her next Pokemon is Golbat, and I switch back to Porkchop. Golbat has Air Cutter, which is bad news for my team. My best move is Seismic Toss, so Porkchop hits twice with that before falling. But that means Macho Man can come in and steal the kill easily. Agatha then sends out her next ghost, Haunter. I pivot to Bark Kick, who uses Foresight to hit her with High Jump Kick. Haunter misses a Hypnosis, so I take the KO with Brick Break the next turn. Next is her ace Gengar, so I go for Foresight again. But Foresight doesn't negate a move's poor accuracy, so Bark Kick trips and hurts himself on the attack. He's then put to sleep and subsequently buried in sludge. Rest in peace, brother. But with Foresight still in effect, Macho Man comes in and easily avenges Bark Kick's defeat with 2 hits, though he's badly hurt after it all. Last is Agatha's Arbok, so I switch to Girl Power. She takes big damage after missing a Hypnosis on turn 1, but she manages to make the hit the second time around. This gives her just enough time for a couple of weakened Brick Breaks, as Arbok wakes up immediately, poisons Girl Power, and takes her out with a Sludge Bomb. That leaves me with Macho on about 25% health. Luckily, he's faster and stronger thanks to the boost from Guts, and a final Cross Chop wins us the battle on our very first attempt. After healing everyone up, I challenge the Dragon Master, Lance. He leads with Gyarados, who has Intimidate. I send out Girl Power, who puts the Pseudo-Dragon to sleep. I then send out Porkchop, who lowers Gyarados' defense with Screech and takes him out with a couple of Cross Chop and Low Kicks. Side note, I'm still so surprised that Low Kick is so effective this late in the game, because these Pokemon are just so heavy. Anyway, Aerodactyl is next, so I switch to Bark Kick, who is my fastest fighter. He defeats the Pterosaur without taking any damage. Easy peasy. This prompts Lance to choose his ace Dragonite. My plan is to have Girl put the dragon to sleep, have Porky lower his defense, and then just hit him with everything we have. This works, though Dragonite defeats Porkchop in the process. So I send out Macho Man, whose boosted Cross Chop and Low Kick takes down the dragon, while Lance wastes his time using Safeguard, like a chump. And unfortunately for Lance, his remaining 2 Pokemon are Dragonair. Both are slower than Macho and easily defeated by single Cross Chops each. GG, dude, that was way easier than I expected. But now, the moment we've all been waiting for. The final battle against our rival, Lazy Boy. We're outnumbered 6-4, but I believe we can do it. First is Pidgeot versus Macho Man. But a Guts boosted Cross Chop easily defeats the bird. Boy sends out Alakazam, so I switch to Bark Kick, who has the best speed and special defense on the team. Bark Kick hits hard with a high jump kick, but Alakazam retaliates equally with a Psychic. But as I said, Bark Kick is faster, allowing him to pick up the KO and even the score the next turn. Third is Lazy Boy's Rhydon, so I swap in Porkchop for his Low Kick. Unfortunately, probably due to a randomized nature, Rhydon hangs on with like 2 HP, but he just lowers Pork's speed and then wastes 2 full restores before falling. So now, I've taken the lead. Lazy Boy sends out Gyarados next, who lowers Porkchop's attack with Intimidate. Porkchop evens the field by dropping Gyarados' defense with Screech. I then switch in Girl, who does what she does best. Puts Gyarados to sleep and starts punching. Unfortunately, Gyarados wakes up immediately, and then Girl Power misses 2 Hypnosises. Anyway, Gyarados hurts himself in confusion, putting him in range for a second Brick Break to knock him out. Now we're up 4-2. Next is the champion's ace Venusaur. So I swap back to Porkchop, lower his defense with Screech, and start swinging. Venusaur wastes 2 turns boosting his special attack, giving Porkchop ample time to knock him out. Now, we are 1 Pokemon away from the championship. Last is Arcanine, who also cuts Porkchop's attack with Intimidate. So, of course, I lower the dog's defense with Screech. The subsequent Cross Chop nearly knocks out Arcanine, which gives him just enough time to burn our chops until he's well done. But I've got 3 more Pokemon in the back. I send in Macho Man as Lazy Boy uses another full restore. Then, a boosted Low Kick easily takes down Arcanine, meaning we've won the battle and the run. This run was a lot of fun. A lot of the fights were kind of samey because I had so few moves and options for strategies, but I had a lot of fun with this. I hope you enjoyed it too. I'm looking forward to future challenges like this where I limit myself to a single type of Pokemon and a type of move. It's just going to make battles a little bit more interesting and videos a little bit more unique. Huge shout out to Mr. Barkin and anybody else on my Patreon. Thank you so much for continuing to support me as I've been less consistent than I would like. Hopefully with the new year, I can be a little bit more consistent, My hope is to stream twice a week on my main channel, once with my buddy Squirt. I think we're going to be playing Legends ZA in a kind of a Mario Party fashion, where we keep track of a bunch of stats and just compete against each other to see who can beat the game first. And I'm also going to be live streaming my next challenge. As I finish this up, I'll start that and have that challenge going on live stream while I work on other projects behind the scenes to get those out as soon as possible. My first project on stream is going to be Pokemon Platinum with normal type Pokemon and normal type moves. So look forward to that. Stay tuned for more. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you are interested, check out Patreon in the comments or the description down below. But with that, I will see you in the next video. Later, nerds.